please welcome back Chief Revenue and Services Officer Bob Gault.
Buddy, so being responsible for worldwide sales and services, it's important that go-to-market is a differentiator for us. Part of our go-to-market is around vertical. Our focus is around 7 verticals worldwide, and the way we focus on them in certain geos is based on the volume and the presence. A couple key verticals for us, you heard one this morning, retail, transportation, logistics. Another key vertical for us is healthcare. And so with that, I want to introduce Collin Summers, Barbara MacKenzie, if you would please come out. Please give us a warm welcome. Barbara is with Sydney Adventist Hospital, and Collin is with OSF Health Care. And so we've got somebody representing outside the United States and within the United States. So I've got some questions for you. And one of the questions is really tied, similar to the last vertical conversation we had, which is really around the patient and the nurse and the doctor experience. And how are you leveraging technology to change and improve the experience of the physicians and the nurses and the patients? Collin, I'll hand it off to you.
We have 2 sets of customers, really. The patients we serve, and then the doctors and nurses and all of the clinicians that go along with that. More and more digital, more and more handheld, more and more wireless, there's just lots of data going through. So it's important that we present that data quickly, reliably, and a lot of that healthcare is moving out to the edge. So as they go out in vans to deliver healthcare, as they go to these small dock-in-a-box in the corner, we have to deliver the same exact experience that they've encountered traditionally in the doctor's office in the hospital. Hospitals have had great infrastructure for years from a speed perspective, or they've been working towards it, and now we have to push that all the way out to the edge, out into the rural community. So building up a robust, reliable network that can operate like it's a 7x24 with lots of data throughput is critical to giving them what they need.
Great, thank you. Barbara.
So I like to keep things simple. I have one credo, and it is we need to provide access to clinical information in 5 seconds, consistently on anything from anywhere. So I'm going to call out mobility, which the definition or our understanding of it has changed over the last decade. It is now all about apps. At Sydney Adventist, we actually develop our own applications, and as a result have managed to develop a complete mobile app version of our EHR. So in our model in Australia, the doctors do not work for the hospital. They're all independent, what we call referrers. So when we talk about customers, my customers are the doctors. The patients are really the doctor's customers. And then on top of that, there's a workforce and all of the other odds and sods on our campuses like students and guests. So for doctors who are often not on site because they work at multiple locations, having a fully functional, safely consumable EHR has fundamentally changed the way that we can provide care. Because if you think about healthcare being an event-driven industry where a piece of information causes an action, and so much of the patient's experience is reliant on people certifying things to happen, acknowledging things, or diagnosing things, reviewing, etc. So being able to deliver the right information contextually really quickly really speeds that up. So we're really looking at how can we make it easier for the humans, like we've got lots of machines and so on talking to each other, but we're constantly looking at how can we assist them to present just the right amount of information for them to make good decisions and move things along quickly.
So based on what you're saying then, is technology and enabling the network to provide a better experience for the physicians, the nurses, the patients, can you use that as a recruitment and a retention tool to attract some of the best physicians and nurses that are out there?
That's a good question. I haven't thought through that one before, but yeah, I would say that's important. I mean, there's doctor shortages, there's nurses shortages, just like there's IT shortages, and the experience you can deliver to them clearly is part of that overall experience. They've got to believe in the mission of of OSF Healthcare, but they've also got to feel like they can do their job. And if their network is down all the time, or they're supposed to be reviewing an x-ray and it takes them 10 minutes to get an x-ray they want in 5 seconds, clearly it makes it harder to retain that person that could go across the street to another hospital where they're going to feel more love.
Yep, got it. So, so many industries are under a perpetual state of change. Healthcare is right at the top of the list, right? What does this mean for you? And then on top of that, how do you balance the business demands, the technology demands, and then the skill sets to be able to pull everything off in healthcare? Barbara.
Okay. So I picked up in the intro, one of the little things that popped up there was the future is not written. That is very true in healthcare because we are still working out how to translate a kind of processes that haven't fundamentally changed all that much for the last half a century. So I guess when it comes down to it, the network used to be referred to as the plumbing, and you know, that basic infrastructure's still got to be in very good working order. And then as you build up, and the only way that you can deliver services, consumable services anywhere, anytime is through heavy virtualization. So once you get all those pieces in place, then you can start working with the sexy stuff. And because I am certainly budget constrained, and I'm sure every one of you would say the same thing, but what I tend to do is look at where other industries are investing and kind of get in their slipstream. So as an example, certainly in Australia, financial services, I really admire how they've adapted mobile apps for their customer experience. In education, we've taken a lot of higher ed immersive audio-visual type experiences and moved that into the clinical environment. So logistics, I've stolen their RF-based locationing technology. It's just that instead of a box, we've got a person in the middle of the supply chain. So just letting other industries work out how to do it first and then stealing their ideas, that's my advice.
Thank you. Good advice. Collin.
Well, I think healthcare is moving to the edge. It typically used to be you went to the you went to your doctor, you went to the hospital. Those were the two things you were going to do through your life, or you didn't. You just avoided the doctor altogether. You still have those patients that do that, but it's moving to the edge, it's moving further and out. You've got a generation that doesn't want a doctor. They want to show up, they want a 15-minute in and out, and so you're building these offices all over the place that may not even have a doctor in them anymore. They're just going to have a nurse of some sort, and you've got to backfill that technology or that need via telepresence or whatever other technologies you can think of. So the whole industry is just spreading things out. There's shortages of doctors, so you've got to be able to take a neurologist and give him a way or her a way to interact with patients that could be hundreds of miles dispersed from where they're actually located, or thousands of miles. There's a push to build the cloud. So we're building our own private cloud inside of OSF, and I'm sure many other organizations, taking out of the hospitals, reducing cost. Once again, you've got to have a network for all these things. It's got to be reliable. It's got to be fast. It's not like the old day where the hospital got cut off from the world. As long as they had a phone line, everything works. Network drops now, everything drops, all the way out to the clinic. If the network's not there, they can't even check a patient in. Their phones don't work anymore because it's all over that wired connection.
It's helpful. So healthcare is probably, as much as any other industry, being squeezed, whether it's regulatory, whether it's trouble collecting from billing. So are there different ways that you're looking to capture new revenue streams in healthcare as you move forward to just basically broaden your scope but still focused on the patient?
We're a little interesting because inside of OSF, a not-for-profit Catholic healthcare, we've got an entity that we run on the network side where we're trying to optimize the cost, not just the price, but the cost, enhance security, enhance reliability, and really make sure we can deliver all that. But then we're turning around and helping other entities, other healthcare entities, small providers, small multi-providers, other hospital systems, deliver them the same expertise, networking, security, everything we're doing, bring that back in so that the sisters who run this mission can reduce their cost. As we talked about, there's not a lot of profit in healthcare. Everybody looks at a doctor and says they do all right. The hospitals aren't making all that money.
Right.
The doctors might be okay. And so it's important that we find other ways to bring revenue. Part of that's to reduce costs. Part of that is to take our experience and share it with others.
Got it. Thank you. That's really interesting. Barbara?
Look, the model of healthcare in Australia is quite boring and it's going to take too long to explain. So the short story is new revenue streams are not so much an option for us as optimizing. So as I mentioned, doctors refer to us and we need them to get bums in our beds and earn revenue. So the doctor pays absolutely no money, just demands the latest robot or whatever, and goes, if you put one of those in, I'll come work at your place. So our strategy for quite a number of years has been make it so easy for the doctors to do business with us that they choose to come to us. And when I start hearing things like Dr. So-and-so is actually not working at the hospital down the road anymore because their systems aren't good enough. So I guess that integration with their practices and the ability to do business electronically is we're really in competition for doctors and for talent in total. The other point I would make is we have a very expensive labour force. So the cost of labour is around 70% of the cost of doing business. So again, we need to really leverage what we've got in the workforce and make it as efficient as possible.
Perfect. One last question. So what role do you see Extreme playing in your future decisions in your overall networking environment?
I'll go first on this one. Norman referred to me as a legacy customer before. I'm not really sure that was good marketing. We were acquired with the Avaya acquisition, and I've actually worked for the same company for around almost 20 years. So I'm in Nashville, so we'll use a horse and cart kind of thing. Like, in my opinion, you hitch your horse to a cart or the other way around and stick with it. And in the course of the last decade or so, it has certainly been a wild ride, but at the end of the day, with the acquisition by Extreme, they came out immediately with a very strong, coherent message, and so far, that's being delivered on. What's been really great is the relationships that we really did. We knew that Avaya, or what was really the Nortel platforms, were great technology, but it was just getting that traction. So the best thing that can happen for us as a customer is for you to succeed and then bring more customers, and eventually we'll get into a big collective. So.
Love it. I feel like just stopping at that answer, but go ahead, Collin. What else do you have to add?
Well, the fabric technology is, we were challenged to just reduce cost, which is, half probably 90% of the room I always get. And we turned it around into not just reduce cost, but how can we innovate from a vendor and performance. So we look to Extreme because of the fabric and the way you're doing the fabric. XMC has become a big part. Automation is huge. We really think that we cannot be competitive in the marketplace if we can't reduce the amount of labor it takes to maintain a network. But we also need better security. So we found in Extreme the ability to reduce our costs, enhance security, and reduce the overall operating cost again through automation, and which enhances security again. So it's just this self-fulfilling cycle. And then I'd also say that my team has been very impressed by the fact that we come up with ideas, and really quickly, our sales rep, Matt, I'll give him a call out to him, he'll come back hey, I've already talked to somebody, I think we can figure something out. And that's what we want. We want a partner that's going to innovate with us.
Yep, that's great. Barbara, Collin, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. If you want to talk to them more, they'll be around over the next couple of days, but thank you.